When we look around us, on our way to school, to university or to work, be it here in Brussels or in any other place in Europe, it is clear that we have to change the way we think about mobility. Traffic is all too often congested, and the number of cars and lorries on the roads keeps increasing, so that, ironically, the mobility of the individual ends up in immobility for the many. Cities still suffer from too much air pollution. Road transport is responsible for 1/5 of Europe's greenhouse gas emissions, and emissions are still increasing, a stark contrast with other sectors where important cuts are being achieved. So we have to ask ourselves whether our habits are sustainable, for example, making so many journeys by car alone. In the roadmap towards a low-carbon economy, the European Commission shows that we can reduce emissions from transport by more than half by the middle of this century. This is no luxury. This is a necessity. Last year, global emissions hit an all-time record. So it's high time to reverse the trend, or your generation will pay a very high price. This does not mean that we just have to stay home, that we cannot travel any longer. No, but we need to think of smarter ways to organize our life and our mobility. In order to meet the drastic emission reductions needed by the middle of this century, in 2050, we will need cars that use less energy and emit less CO2. Like electrical cars running, for example, on wind-generated electricity, or vehicles powered by hydrogen or sustainable biofuels. We need to plan our cities better, improve public transport connections and cycling routes, and why not work more from home? This is no distant future. Let me give you just a few examples. The city where I come from, Copenhagen in Denmark, has invested massively in bike lanes. A third of people already cycle to work, and city officials plan to increase that percentage to 50 in the coming few years. London has added 100 hybrid buses to its fleet and is aiming now to have 300 hybrid buses by the end of next year. These buses drastically reduce pollution and consumption, about 1/3 less. And what's more, they are more silent than traditional diesel buses, something that we can all appreciate in today's noisy cities. The EU has taken many initiatives to support the transition towards a more sustainable mobility. We set binding targets for CO2 emissions for cars, for instance, recently also for vans, soon also for trucks, so that they pollute less. We promote cleaner fuels. We in the EU support the research and development of electric cars and other innovative technologies. We support regions and cities that invest in cycle routes and public transport. But we cannot do this alone. We need the car industry to invest in new technologies. We need governments to set the goal and the direction. We need business to deliver the solutions. And that is where you come in. As today's and tomorrow's consumers, you can put pressure on the government and businesses in your country to move towards a more climate-friendly society. And last but not least, each and every one of us can adapt our own behavior towards a more sustainable way of life. It is therefore absolutely essential that we all engage in a dialogue. And I think it's great that so many of you decided to join this project to contribute with your ideas. I'm very keen to see the results of your work. And I'm sure that you will have plenty of ideas on how to do this transition in the smartest possible way. If we do this intelligently, Europe can reap many other benefits. A surge in innovation, improving competitiveness of our car industry, for instance, new jobs for young people as well as for older people. And all that on top of cleaner, healthier cities. So let's start moving now.